North Queensland Cowboys started 2015 with 3 straight defeats. They've now had 3 straight wins and 3 straight man-of-the-match performances from Johnathan Thurston, which the man beside me, Brett Kimmorley, picked. JT, he's gone to another level.
He has, yeah, and he's had to. Obviously the Cowboys were extremely poor the first few weeks. I really want to give Paul Green a bit of a rep as well because, he didn't show any pressure when they were losing. They spoke about the positive things that they were going through. And obviously the whole football game for the North Queensland Cowboys relies on Johnathan Thurston getting ball on hand. 2 years ago, they tried to take him out of the halfback situation, play him as 5'8", try and develop Morgan and Thompson and a few others. Johnathan Thurston is the best ball player, game management player in the world. So he's got to play 7. He's doing that again for the Cowboys. And I think on the back of a good pre-season, which he doesn't normally get because of the Australian tours, he's certainly fit. He's the most competitive bloke that people say you've ever played the competition. And just his ability at the end of most games to come up with the big plays. People were making comments this week that is he better than Andrew Johns? Andrew Johns was one of the greatest players that I played with and was a player that could win games, stand on his own, and had that aura. Well, Matthew Johns has come out and said Andrew Johns is not as good as what Johnathan Thurston is and what Johnathan Thurston's going to be remembered upon. So he's gone to North Queensland. He hasn't won a comp up there. He's won one at the Dogs. So the next thing for Johnathan Thurston to do as a player, to stamp his authority as probably being one of the greatest players we've ever seen, is to win a comp at North Queensland. They've been ripped off the last 2 seasons with some really bad decisions in some semi-finals. He's won 3 Dally M's. He's been a member of that Queensland winning side. He's one of Australia's greatest players that we've sort of seen in the halves. And it's just unsure what he needs to do to prove how great he is.
Lachlan Coote's come in at fullback after that ACL injury from last year, pushing Michael Morgan to 5'8". He's looking pretty solid there.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's why they bought Lachlan Coote. It was obviously to put Morgan in the halves next to Thurston and obviously have Coote at the back position there. So Coote's played a little bit of 5'8" too because the current fullback is literally your second 5'8" in your football side. So, and that allows Johnathan Thurston then just to float both sides of the field. He's either got a 5'8" at one side or he's got the fullback on the other side to chime in with. So I think they've got a nice combination happening up there as well. And Granville, the dummy half, has become an active threat around the dummy half. So Paul Green coached him in the Queensland comp. Couldn't get a start at Brisbane. We'll take him to North Queensland. So you need an active dummy half in the current climate of the game because the play the ball speed's improved. And if there's no threat around the dummy half, well, they can put pressure on Johnathan Thurston a bit easier. Granville adds that little bit of threat and a bit of doubt in the middle. So that just gives JT that tiny bit extra time that he needs to be a ball player. He's just got so much time. He shows the ball on the inside and now he's going to throw it on the outside. He'll pop up on both sides of ruck, which unfortunately we've seen him do for Queensland and beat New South Wales at the end of some games. Just floats around in the field. And people say he's one of the hardest trainers in the competition. Super competitive. He loves this game on the line sort of equation. I think the North Queensland Cowboys have got a really good balance in their roster. And as I said, it's really important now that they try and get Johnathan Thurston this victory because probably 2 years is about as max as he's got left. 2 to 3 years maximum the Cowboys have got. And obviously this is on the back of being ripped off for a few seasons. Johnathan Thurston going good, coaching going well. I think this year we all expected, I did expect the Cowboys to actually challenge for the grand final this year. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, it started to show me that my decision was right when I picked them at the start of the year.
James Tarmo, Matt Scott, Jason Taumalolo, quite a forward pack. Why were they struggling in those opening 3 weeks?
I think everyone expected them just to start extremely well. They were really poor in round 1 and they have a bad history of being really poor in round 1. So I got no idea what that should be about. But, they've turned it around. I think the North Queensland Cowboys probably, they had that motivation of being ripped off a bit in the semi-final again last year. They were harshly dealt with. So that rides you all off-season. You then can't wait for round 1 to start because you want to win and you have to win. And obviously, being under pressure and carrying that I have to win type of thing, and you get beat, it saps you a little bit. And then obviously you're expected to win game 2. We're going bad, we're playing really bad. And the more you think about football, generally the worse you play. And that's what it looked like with the North Queensland Cowboys. It looked like they simplified after 3 losses and got back to basics in round 4. They were lucky to beat Melbourne in round 4, but just JT's class got them out of it. Now it looks like they're just flowing on as a real well-oiled football machine.
5 or 6 weeks out from Origin, it's a massive period for the Cowboys because obviously they're going to be affected pretty heavily through that period.
Yeah, they will. They lose Scott, Tarmow, and Thurston obviously as well. So they've got to really keep winning football games. The competition is so close this year. It's great as a fan. It's really hard as a punter if you're trying to pick some winners. But the competition being close means you can't really say we're going to go on a winning streak. You can't really say, okay, well, it's 4 or 5 weeks before the Origin starts. We've got not a bad draw. Let's try and get 5 wins in a row. It's not going to happen. North Queensland, they just need to try and do their best when they're at home because I think teams that travel to Townsville, it's a bit hard to go up there and play. So they've got to try and win all home games and see if they can jag some away games on the run.
Do the Cowboys go on and make that top 4?
I think they do, yeah. I think the Cowboys are certainly one of the sides that can win the competition. I think they've got a very good roster. They're going to be hurt if there's too many injuries to the side. I think they've got a little bit of depth in the forwards. The outside backs might struggle a little bit. But I think Cowboys are a genuine top 4 side. And because everyone's beating everyone else, I don't see that there's going to be a standout minor premier this year. You know, we had South Sydney, we've had the Roosters the last few years be 6 or 8 points ahead of the competition. Probably not going to happen this year. So it narrows the margin to get there. And let's say the top 8, you might need to 8 points to make it this year. You might get scraped in at 24 or 26 as a low margin.
There it is. Johnathan Thurston will push the Cowboys to the top 4.